Let's go to our caller from, I don't know. There's so many people. Oh, you know what? Let's go to Terry from Newton. Terry from Newton here in town. Terry, what's going on?
Hi, David. How's everything going?
Good, good.
So I just wanted to call in because there's been a lot of talk about the early exit polls. So as you saw, like in Massachusetts alone, the exit poll said that Bernie was going to win with about 30% of the vote. And it turned out it actually was Biden who won with, I think, about 32%.
Yes.
And as a result, there's been a lot of talk about it. Some people, I think, are, confused, and probably it was a lot like what happened in 2016, where some of the early exit polls said Hillary would win states that she ended up not winning. But then there's also other people like on Redacted Tonight that have gone really in depth and said there's like some like rigging of the vote. And
Yep.
I just wanted to know what your take on this was. Like, is it just a bad example of, exit polling and the fact that we need to like really review how we do it? Or is it more like something sinister is going on and Bernie needs to be more aggressive about it?
Listen, here's the thing. So the big picture, with the exception of Donald Trump in 2016, it's always you've got the people who lose who say that it was rigged in some way. Trump said it was rigged despite the fact that he won. He insists that he didn't actually lose to Hillary by 3 million votes. That's kind of a special case. I at this point can't make the case in good faith that the exit poll discrepancies are definitive evidence that there was vote tampering, voter machine tampering, or whatever the case may be. When you look nationally, I don't know if it's 2 or 2.1 or 2.2 million votes. Biden is crushing Bernie in the popular vote. And these margins that are being looked at, when it is proportional allocation of delegates, this is the really important thing. It's not all or nothing. When you look at some of these discrepancies, even if you can make the case, as I've seen it made, that there's like a 4 point swing, a 5 point swing that doesn't really make sense, you'd Biden would still be winning by a slightly smaller margin. So I'm not saying that to dispute or confirm any particular theory. But what I'm saying is I've not seen, and I'm willing to have my mind changed. I've not seen anything that I would call remotely definitive evidence that vote tampering is what explains Joe Biden winning by 2.2 million votes nationally.
Okay, that sounds about right because there's been people who have been like throwing that around and Redacted Tonight, like they had this guy on who's apparently some expert in elections, although I don't, if I ask like people, like professors and all that too, they probably would strongly disagree with that. It's just, I'm just worried because, there's some people who are like trying to use that as like a pretext that, saying that progressives can't win. And I think it's tough because, especially like there's a lot of like voters who Bernie have energized who don't trust the electoral process to begin with. And
Right.
if they have this feeling that basically everything's going to be rigged against them and like other like Bernie crats, then they're not
They
even
won't
going
vote.
to show
They're
up
not going
in
to vote in
November,
November.
let
You're
alone,
absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that's not a program I'm familiar with, and I wouldn't be able to speak to what they've said, but certainly the rhetoric you're describing will help Trump. And some people may be okay with that. It's a strategy disagreement. It's just a disagreement is all it is.
Yeah. Well,
All
anyhow,
right,
thank you so
Terry.
much for answering my question, David.
My pleasure. My pleasure,
And I wish
Terry.
you, yep. All right. Wish you the safe, best of luck during this crisis.
Likewise, absolutely, Terry. Great to hear from Terry and Newton. That does it for calls today. As always, I apologize. I am not able to meet the full demand of the phone calls that come in, but we will, of course, take your calls again.